We are now open the floor for Q&A. You can click the button below to send in your questions now. Okay, I can see there are some questions coming in now. And okay, Rob, there is a question for you. What is the rental estimate for this project?
Generally, the rents will be looking at around 4.4 to 4.7% generally, which again is very competitive for such a central London location, just 17 minutes into Bond Street.
Okay, there is a question is asking about the surrounding area of Southall, Waterside.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the surrounding area of Southall is quite residential. It's a residential area generally, but of course, with that comes all the things that you would expect for a residential area. So there's plenty of shops, retail in and around the local area. But of course, accessibility into London and Heathrow are key driving areas to Southall itself.
Okay, Vidya. There's a question for you. It's asking about the stamp duty. I think it is regarding the newly how do you say it? 2% stamp duty for the foreign buyers.
Yeah, okay. So as you know, this introduction of the 2% stamp duty was announced in the last budget in March. The thing is, the good thing is that I don't think it will significantly impact much on buyers' decision because it is lower than what we've expected at only 2% on the aggregated amount. And again, it will only kick in from April 2021. So this timeline actually gives many investors the opportunity to buy into properties that are completing now or completing soon before April 2021 to save on that 2%. And in fact, we actually agreed on a couple of such deals in the last few weeks with buyers who are motivated on that stamp duty savings. So for instance, Southall Waterside, which Rob had recently just presented, they do have some apartments that will be completing end of the year. So that's good if you falls into that category. Besides this additional levy at 2% will also mean that UK still comes out as one of the lowest acquisition tax when you compare it to major places like Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia. So the starting price in this development is around 300,000. So the aggregated stamp duty sum or aggregated percentage would be around 5%, which is again much lower than many major cities in the world. And essentially, a lot of the discerning investors understands that the demand for housing in the UK is still strong, and there is the undersupply to cater to the growing need. So I would say it is not so impactful to affect the buying decisions on foreigners.
Right. And there are a few questions is asking about the financing. Is loan available?
Yes, local banks in Singapore, such as UOB, OCBC, are still offering loans in London. They also, the reputation of the developer is very crucial in assessing that credit offering. And Buckley Group is known as one of the best developer who performs and delivers on time. So that gives them that cutting edge in terms of banks giving offering. On top of that, we also work with, mortgage brokers who are also based here that could give you an assessment of borrowing from banks in the UK as well. So you do have all that options available for you.
Okay, and I think Rob or Vidya, you can answer this. Does the work from home policy that companies have adopted change the areas of interest in the UK for the residential market?
I think I can start off first, and Rob, you can add if you want. You know, at JLL, we are a big data powerhouse, and we do conduct survey to understand what's going on in our industry. We recently did a survey and on you know, with what we are experiencing with COVID, working from home, and the finding is that there is no extreme. You know, less than 4% claim that they would like to continue working from home. And there is also a low percentile of people who just want to work in the office. So what we find is that the majority are looking at having that balance of being able to sometimes work from home, sometimes work in the office, because, you know, even we can admit to ourselves that the interaction and the brainstorming with our fellow colleagues is important to provide productivity and efficiency. You know, with those who like to spend some time working from home and some time working in the office, now gives us an insight of what of the change of their behavior, so to speak. And we see that there's a lot more people who are inquiring for homes with some outdoor space, and developments that have the residence amenities is also very attractive, as it provides tenants and owner occupiers that balance of work, live and play all in one. And we also see that there are an increased inquiry of a slightly larger apartments of 2 or 3 bedrooms. And this is where affordability will then come into play. So developments such as Southall Waterside, in my opinion, fits that criteria as the perfect balance, especially with the great connectivity into central London when the Elizabeth line starts to operate.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Woody. I think you may well see some people that, you know, would have been living in sort of a 1-bedroom flat in let's say a central London location, zone 2, zone 1, but actually would want a slightly larger place so they could have a, you know, a separate office, for example, or a little bit more outside space. And that's where something like Southall will really cater to, because, you know, the affordability factor and also the fact that there's so much outside space in and around the development.
Okay. And there's a customer is asking, what is the activity like in the UK property market post-lockdown?
Maybe I can take that question. Since the restrictions in London have been eased, we do see a number of interests leveling up to pre-COVID times. And I think slowly the pent-up demand will start to turn into transactions. I mean, these are public data. If you go onto Rightmove, which is like the biggest property portal in the UK, they show the trends of transactions, or rather inquiry levels coming up. And you know, and I think it's very positive and promising to see, even in the domestic market, for new launch sites like Southall Waterside, as what Rob mentioned, had garnered so much interest and reservations. So yeah, it is. And to link back to my first part of the presentation, I would say that we as a company view this as a short-term interim period where people just, you know, looking at opportunities in the longer term. So yeah, I think it will definitely pick up in transactions very soon.
Okay. Rob, these are questions for you. How many % has been sold for the project?
I mean, ultimately, today is the launch day internationally for Southall. So there's been about 9 deals already done this morning. In terms of course, at Berkeley, we do a UK first release. So our UK first release garnered about 90 units or properties that have already sold. So, so far, I mean, of what we've released, that's quite a high percentage. But, as I said, there's 3,750 homes there to go. But the initial take-up has been great.
Yeah, we have already have few offers coming in this morning.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
And there's a customer is asking, any discounts?
Question.
I mean, ultimately, speak to Widia or Christine. We can negotiate, but yeah, I think it's on a case-by-case basis ultimately.
Okay, We still have a couple of minutes. If you'd like to ask more questions, you can send it now. Okay, if not, okay, we would like to end the presentation today. One more thing, thank you, Rob, so much. We are very excited about these newly launched regeneration projects by Barclays Group. We feel very privileged, and because we have been working with you for so long, I think more than 10 years, some of the customers has been following us for more than 10 years as well. And many has bought Keepbrook Village and Woodbury Down. They do understand the regeneration, the impact, and the capital upside. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you, everyone. And meanwhile, if you have any questions or if you want to find out more about Southall Waterside, please reach out to JLL, your sales consultant. And we are very happy to share more information with you. So thank you. And the meanwhile, stay safe, stay well. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, everybody.